Numbers Live, the podcast. We back at you. It's another series in the books. Another conference semis in the books. So that means we back at you again, giving giving these reactions. Let's see what it is, man. In the meat and potatoes, like I say, of the playoffs, in the heart of the playoffs. Again, I'm just enjoying the show. Really, it's a beautiful thing that basketball is being played at the highest level right now. Got to enjoy it while it's here. It won't be here in a few more weeks. So here we are. We had, let's not talk about last night, but we had different games coming to an end, different series coming to an end. Bucks, Boston came to an end. Obviously, I feel like Miami has had like a long break. What was the last game they played? Right?
Um,
Wednesday? It's been like 5, 6 days for them, right?
yeah, at least. They last played, well, yeah, 4 days ago. Today's the 16th. They closed out on the 12th.
Right. Okay. So yeah, 4 days. So and then yeah, Warriors and the Grizz. A lot of us pretty much knew that without Ja Morant, that series was over. So a lot of great storylines going on right now, a lot of great, narratives and things of that nature. But now it's the final four. Um, okay, now we can talk about last night. What happened, man? Like it was two game sevens yesterday. Um, let's start with Bucks Celtics. So obviously game seven, first game seven of Sunday. The Boston Celtics pulled it out. That was interesting. I just feel like it was pretty much just the Bucks kind of running out of gas. They took them to 7 games, which I didn't think even that was going to happen. I thought that,
Yeah, I thought it'd be over in six.
right. I thought Boston would kind of handle their business, but Giannis and Drew Holiday, that pick and roll, they was just giving them the flux. You had Brook Lopez doing his best all star big man.
Yeah, he played all right too. But I think it came down to everyone else. You know what I'm saying? You're only gonna get so much out of your Pat Connaughtons, out of your Grayson Allens, out of your Wesley Matthews, um, out of your George Hills. You know, the skill level compared to who, the other three or the other four starters, well, yeah, the other three starters in Boston and their bench players, it really didn't match up well. That's why, the both of us had that series being over in six and went seven. I don't know. To me, the Bucks didn't get much out of Bobby Portis. Um, but to me, he kind of started to regress. He played all right against the Bulls, but he started to regress, in my opinion, almost once Brook Lopez got back in action. Once he became a full-time starter again,
Yep.
then Bobby Portis's game started to regress a bit as far as production.
Right. And I saw that obviously during the season. Brook Lopez started to get his feet under him, and obviously they were saving him for the playoffs. He came to the playoffs. Bobby Portis definitely his frustration boiled over yesterday when he took his glasses off, threw them, and he was getting into it with the coaches. Obviously, Bobby Portis is that fiery player, bringing the energy, whether it be good and bad, good or bad. So that kind of frustration definitely boiled over. You had Chris Middleton trying to help coach on the sidelines, but in the end, it was too much Boston. I feel like they were the better team. It just took them 7 games to prove it. So, but shout out to the defending champs, and they definitely put up a good fight without Chris Middleton. And I was joking around the whole series saying that Giannis was playing football and the Bucks was playing football out there because they was kind of letting them play a little bit. Giannis, I kind of feel like every time down it was just more glaring to me that Giannis would either travel or commit an offensive foul with most of his drives. But that's just my eyes. But
No, I saw the same thing, and like I was saying in the group chats, Giannis has a real lack of body control. Um, he can get to the basket with the best of them, like your LeBrons, like your John Morants. But when he gets there, I don't want to say it's hard for him to finish, but when he misses layups, it's always due to lack of body control. Pretty much always, because I mean, shots are right at the rim. He's never going to genuinely miss a normal layup. But his lack of body control, he had to do as much Euro stepping and contorting of his body as he could based on the Celtics defense, and that's when he would lose control. Now, I personally feel because of the way, and I'm not part of the Bron Hive or anything like that, but with the way teams play LeBron and the way he gets to the basket and finishes, double, sometimes triple teams, I think that even something like that, along with, his lack of shooting, distance-wise, to me, proves that he's not the overall best player in the NBA. I'm sorry. To me, he's the most dominant. He's the most dominant big. I won't even say player. I can, but I don't want to ruffle too many feathers. He's the most dominant big that I've seen since Shaquille O'Neal.
Yep. He got 40 and 20 like Shaq did in 01.
But however, there are still a decent amount of things that he cannot do that others can, in my opinion. And those are the reasons why he's not the best player in the NBA.
Yeah, it made you appreciate LeBron. You kind of missed him.
I did say that. Because
LeBron, he can get to the
all the offensive fouls and miss layups and things like that. It kind of did make me miss LeBron this playoffs. And, I hadn't brought LeBron up all playoffs. I mean, for what? He's not playing right now. But yeah, I think I would have seen a lot more and ones, you know what I'm saying? And things like that. If Giannis had more body control, or was able to, make a decision to pass the ball off just a bit quicker, you know what I'm saying, before he runs someone over. But he had a gang of offensive fouls. And some of those were in the midst of them trying to come back in games that they were down. Some of them were when they were up and, kind of shifted momentum back to Boston. And I mean, of course, offensive fouls are turnovers. Those are turnovers in the game.
Huge momentum shift.
Big turnovers.
And like if you just look at him, just the way he drives and does his move, with Al Horford on him, and sometimes he looks unstoppable. That spin move, sometimes it looks great. Other times when it's bad, it's bad.
But that's the thing, though. That's why I said in the last show that I felt Giannis should do, at least catch the ball, unless they're coming off a miss, unless they're coming off a Celtics miss from the other end. In a half-court setting, in my opinion, he should catch the ball, free throw line extended or below. For the main reason is that it limits the amount of dribbles he has to take to get to the basket.
Right.
That's first and foremost. It limits the amount of dribbles that he has to get to the basket. He will probably only have to make one move, even if it is a Euro step. But coming from up top, with the Celtics defense, he was literally trying to get past 2 to 3 people each time he was going to the basket.
And then I saw Al Horford, which was his primary defender the whole series. Al Horford would give him like 2 feet just to see if he was going to pull that three or that long jumper.
Of course.
And then it was like, hey, you can shoot that all day, buddy. We'll give you that one. And then other than that, if you didn't shoot that, you had Marcus Smart coming over to help, trying to build that wall, and whether it be drawing a charge, hitting a strip. And then he was actually missing bunnies yesterday too, so you can tell it was just running out of gas, man. So It was interesting series, but that's over now. Let's see what else. Miami in the sixth. Let's keep it in the East. This was interesting just because I think we kind of forgot. Well, I feel like some people kind of forgot that Embiid didn't play the first two. Like I feel like it was a lot of trash talking afterwards, and like people down in Doc Rivers, and obviously talking about James Harden because he's easy to talk about. But I feel like if Embiid had have played them first two games, this would have been a totally different series.
And I get that, you know what I'm saying? However, I will say that at one point the series was tied 2-2, correct?
Yeah, when Embiid came back. Yeah.
So that's literally like starting over. And so they had their chance to win two more games with the healthy Embiid, just the same as the Heat did. So I get that Embiid didn't play the first two games. But again, they did tie the series up at 2-2 with Embiid. And, from that point on, it was whoever could win two games.
Mm-hmm.
And then he prevailed, winning the next two.
Yeah, shout out to Heat. They got past him. That was dope. I just wish the big man would have been available, but it is what it is. You gotta go on. So Heat advanced. So now we got Heat and the Celtics. Going out west, we had the Suns and the Mavs. But let's go to the Grizz and the Warriors first, though. So obviously Ja Morant and the questionable injuries with Jordan Poole kind of holding his knee and all of that, and him saying he broke the code. And
I'll be honest with you, man. Unless you can show me, some type of indentation of Jordan Poole's fingerprints on this man's bones, like there's no way, in my opinion, that he injured his knee by grabbing his leg. You know what I'm saying? Gave that man a bone bruise by grabbing his knee.
Yeah, I was about to say he has a bone bruise, so
just not there. And then at the same time, to say he broke the code, a picture came out a couple of days later with Ja kind of doing the same thing. But yet that person didn't get hurt. Mind you, this Ja had these knee injuries, ever so often throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
I will say on that play where, he says that Jordan Poole grabbed his knee did kind of turn in a bit.
And his ankle looked like it kind of twisted too.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% sure that was due to Jordan Poole grabbing his knee, and I don't think that the knee was grabbed intentionally. I think that he intended for the ball to come back to that side.
Right, not
but I don't know, man. You can't really convince me that Jordan Poole grabbing his knee gave him the bone bruise. Definitely an unfortunate injury for the Grizz, but at the same time, the Grizz were 20-5 this season without Ja Morant. And if I'm not mistaken, the game after he got injured, they won the next game.
Was that the one they won?
Either the next game or the game after, where they won by like 30.
Yeah.
So they were definitely capable. I just think, playing against a championship experienced team like the Golden State Warriors, playoffs just a different animal. They had the talent, it just wasn't enough.
No, they needed Ja Morant, even though the numbers support them being better without Ja. Not better, but a really good team without Ja.
Right.
They needed Ja Morant in these playoffs, and they'll learn from this. They're a young team, super young team that I feel like they overachieved this year. It was just really, really good in the regular season, but they went against the Warriors. So good learning experience. They'll come back even better next year. Hopefully, Jaren Jackson Jr. learns how to not hack people. And
man, he blocked so many shots, but he is a hack, man. He fouls a lot.
Yeah, I got to look at the numbers, but like I'm pretty sure he either got 5 fouls or fouled out of too many games this postseason. So yeah, he needs to learn how to defend without fouling for real because he's too important number 3 and D guy out there for him. So, but
especially in the playoffs, because he was kind of the only starting big. Brandon Clark come off the bench. Um, because Steven Adams didn't play, I want to say, until the last 2 games of that series,
right.
pretty much. So his size was really, really needed. And he stayed in foul trouble a lot.
And he was scoring. He was actually scoring pretty well. I know he was dropping 30 and 20 and a couple games. So he was scoring well, defending obviously. So yeah, you gotta understand that you're more valuable to your team than that, and know how to not get in foul trouble. So hopefully that'll come. Like I said, hey, really good team, really young team, young and talented. Desmond Bane. This was his second year. One of the best 3-point shooters in the league. Obviously, John Morant, superstar. I feel like John Morant is a superstar. How do you feel about that? Right now, I think John Morant is a superstar.
I think he's a star.
Okay, what's
Star.
separating him in your opinion?
I don't think he's a superstar just yet. This is his second or third year in the league.
Third, I believe.
Um, he's an all-star already.
MVP candidate, even though he won most improved. That boy was an MVP candidate.
Which is why I didn't feel that he was going to win most improved. But shout out to him. He doesn't have a first team all NBA just yet. And I think most of the people who are considered superstars have multiples, at least 2. But he'll get there. He'll get there for sure. As far as superstardom, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I don't really want to debate you back and forth about him being a superstar because, anybody who feels he's a superstar is well in their rights. You know what I'm saying, with what he's done so far in the league. But I don't think he's a superstar just yet. But he is a star.
Yeah, I think, and the reason I'm saying it is, I feel like his charisma and the highlights of this year kind of pushed him over that edge to superstardom, and just his ceiling going forward. So I again, I feel like he's on the trajectory to be. So I'm just kind of giving it to him
Definitely.
right now. So, but yeah, he. So you're saying just your prerequisite for a superstar is basically all NBA team, or 2 or 3.
At least 1 or 2 first teams though.
First team. Okay, gotcha. All right, because I know people have been saying, okay, who is a superstar, who's not. So I guess that's a conversation we can have later on. So, all right, last game of the semifinals, we got Suns Mavs went 7. A lot of people had the Suns first seed, beating the 4th seed Dallas Mavericks. A lot of people didn't necessarily see them being the 4th seed. Jason Kidd did an amazing job with that team, making them play defense. And yesterday I kind of had the game on kind of in the background. I wasn't looking, but when I saw the score, I think in the second or third quarter, first of all, I didn't know what I was looking at. I was like, okay, is that a real score? Is that the score? Like, because the Phoenix Suns, when I was looking, they had 35 points, and the Mavs had like 70, and I was like, okay, what is this? So,
and they didn't reach 35 points into the third quarter, I believe. I believe they only had 27 in the first half.
Nobody scored over 12 points on the Suns. I think Cam Johnson scored 12. CP3 scored like 10. Devin Booker scored 11.
Yeah, the Suns really, really wet the bed yesterday, especially for that to be a Game 7 at home.
At home, Game 7.
Chris Paul had 10 points, but he had 2 through 3 quarters. He didn't score the other 8 into the fourth quarter, down 40. So
yeah,
that. But everybody knows that I'm a huge Chris Paul fan. And I got Cliff Paul game 3 through 7. Game 3 in Dallas, Chris Paul had 12 points and 7 turnovers. I don't recall the last time that he's had a game with that many turnovers. And then he followed it up with a game 4 production of 5 points and 2 turnovers. The next game was 7 points and 4 turnovers. Then he finally hit double figures again with 13 points, but still had 5 turnovers. Yesterday, he didn't have any turnovers, but again, he had 2 points through 3 quarters. He was pretty much insignificant from games 3 through 7. Granted, he led the playoffs in assists. I believe he had like 108 total. But obviously, not a lot of them came yesterday, seeing that they barely put up any points. But yeah, they really wet the bed. I thought that DeAndre Ayton would take more advantage of his size down there because they really didn't double team him at all. Everyone that played him straight up. He needs some moves.
Yeah,
he needs some moves. That right hook over the left shoulder, and the little fadeaway is pretty much all he has, unless he's catching the ball off the screen and roll. So he needs to work on some moves over the summer. He really thought that he was going to get that extension, and the Suns held off on it. And I'm pretty sure now they're feeling like that they made the correct move. Not saying that they won't extend him, but it definitely won't be for what he was looking for.
No max.
Money-wise, no max.
Yeah.
But the Mavericks, though, for one, they were shooting it. They were shooting the letters off the ball. And I think a lot of that has to do with Jason Kidd understanding that the primary focus is going to be on Luka. And it seemed like every time they kicked the ball out, somebody was open. But I don't think people were paying attention to the movement of the players around the perimeter on the drives by Luka or the drives by Jalen Brunson. It was almost like clockwork, you know what I'm saying? Each person knew where to be around that perimeter, depending on what angle Luka took, or what side he drove to. Maxi Kleber shot the lights out. David Bertans shot the lights out. Spencer Dinwiddie shot the lights out. Everybody shot the lights out of the ball after game 2. I think the defense gave them more confidence. I was taking a look at minutes, though. Hopefully, they don't get gassed in the finals. Finney Smith and gassed in the semifinals. Finney Smith and Reggie Bullock are 1-3 in minutes played in the playoffs. And granted, Bullock is a shooter, but Finney Smith was primarily known as a defender, and that was really the main reason he was out there. But he pretty much knocked down the majority of his open shots as well. So, Kidd really had no reason to take him out the game, especially if, the games were kind of in any type of reaching distance for the Suns. So hopefully they don't burn out, but they played great.
Played amazing. At first you kind of wondered about Brunson and Dinwiddie, but eventually, like you said,
after games 1 and 2,
right? They eventually showed up and showed out. So yeah, that was the upset of this playoffs. I feel that was interesting. Shout out Jason Kidd, shout out the Mavs Luka going to his first Western Conference final, and it's going to be interesting to see because I guess we can get into the conference finals. So might as well start with this series: Mavs and the Warriors. On one side, it's the Warriors. So I wanted to say Warriors in 6 or Warriors in 5 probably, but I don't know. I have a slight reluctancy because they are an older version of the Warriors, even though they still got their big three and a good supporting cast. They're not necessarily the 15 through 18 Warriors. So it's gonna be interesting, you know.
One thing I noticed this Warriors team does a lot, at least in the playoffs, they turn the ball over a lot.
Yeah,
Turn
yeah.
the ball over so
Way
much.
more than right. Way more than what we're used to a Warrior team, you know, being. And I don't know, that might be, you know, I'm not sure what to attest that to Draymond, because he is, you know, a big ball handler there. So his turnovers, but yeah, definitely turned the ball over a lot. I don't know, man. I guess I got to make a prediction, but it's gonna be tough. I want to see Luka be successful because, like, you know, I like Luka's gameplay, even though he doesn't, even though he whines to the refs and all that, and that I don't like. I love his game. Like, there's nothing really not to like about his game. Obviously, he can be a better defender, but with Jason Kidd putting the defense around him, making that the Mavs play good defense, you know, team defense. And look at Dirk. Dirk wasn't necessarily that good of a defender. He won a championship, so they got a good recipe. So
Actually, the last time this team's been to the Western Conference Finals.
yep, 2011.
Yep.
That's crazy. Yeah, Luka. I'm gonna go Warriors. I'm gonna go Warriors. I'm gonna still be. I'm gonna root for Luka though. I'm gonna root for Luka, but I'm gonna say the Warriors will win the series in 6 games. Luka, I think Luka gonna put up some huge games, but hey, it's not gonna be easy for the Warriors. So in order to win this game in 6, win a series in 6 games, they have to be better. They have to be better. They have to be tighter. They have to be sharper. Like I said, limiting the turnovers, playing better defense. I don't want to see the dramatic Draymond. I don't want to see any ejections from him. I want him to be the Draymond I know he can be and help this team get to the finals again. So
They can't afford to have Draymond ejected from any of these games.
mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. They gotta tighten it up, bro. You can't afford to do them antics he was doing last series, man. So
I think in order for the Mavs to win games in this series, they got to come out great offensively, but early. We've seen the Warriors team be able to come back from deficits, you know, throughout the time that we've been watching them from the championship days. So getting down 10 to 12, being down 10 to 12 in the third or fourth quarter isn't really a lead that they can't overcome. But I'm not sure about the Mavs. I think the Mavs have to get out to strong starts in order to win games. But also, the Warriors got to limit their turnovers, though.
Yeah.
Warriors got to limit turnovers.
Steph got to be Steph. You know, Jordan Poole, Clay's gonna be important too. Because I figure, you know, Clay's gonna be guarding Luka, right? Primarily, you would think, or Wiggins. They're gonna
and that's the thing. They're gonna switch. They too have 3 people that they're gonna be throwing at Luka. 4, depending on how many games Otto Porter misses. But between Draymond, Klay Thompson, and Andrew Wiggins, they'll all get their crack at Luka Doncic. I just think it depends on who has the most stamina at different times of the game.
Right.
But I do think they started. I think they start with Klay first. But Draymond will see him in the first quarter as well.
Okay. Just my first mind with Klay is that him coming off the injuries, man, and you know, I don't know. I would want to kind of save Klay. I would put Wiggins on him, Wiggins and Draymond, and try to save Klay. But I mean, if he can do it, that's cool. But you know, you're coming off an injury, man. especially these playoffs. Games are high octane. It's playing hard, defending hard. I know Clay is a two-way player. He prides himself on being that. So
yeah, and I mean, I feel you on that. You may want to start Wiggins out on him just because, you want to be able to keep Clay, Steph, and Draymond on the floor as much as possible, with as little foul trouble as possible. But in the event that Wiggins does go to the bench in foul trouble, they're still able to have a third scorer on the floor in Jordan Poole.
mm-hmm.
So I think that works out in their favor. They just really got to communicate on defense. I think they play Kevin Looney a bit more just to not necessarily shot block at all, but to, alter shots or maybe get a hand on some passes and things on these drives. For those reasons, I'm gonna go ahead and take Golden State as well. I'm gonna take them in 6 games. I'm gonna take them in 6 games because I think they get a close one in Dallas at some point. Kind of like, how they escaped with a 1 or 2 point victory against the Grizz.
Mhm.
I think they get one of those in Dallas at some point. So therefore, I'm gonna take Golden State in 6.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough not to, it's tough to go against Golden State. Basically, I'm trying to think about it, but because I like the man. Obviously, I like Jason Kidd. I like the coaching job he's doing, but Golden State has home court. They go to State. They still have Steph, Clay, and Draymond. Jordan Poole is emerging. So, yeah. And then also, like Spencer Dinwiddie, he's shown me too many inconsistencies. He's a little too streaky of a player coming off the bench. And I just feel like, I don't know, he has to be good for them. Like, he has to be great for them to win this series. So basically, at the end of the day, the Mavs just don't have enough firepower. They won't have enough firepower to beat the mighty Golden State Warriors. So Golden State in 6. All right, so let's take it out east to the. I feel like the heavyweight matchup I've been saying all along. I feel like the championship is going to come out of the Eastern Conference. That's how much I love these Eastern Conference teams this year. No more Eastern Conference. It's a heavyweight match. Two great defensive teams, Miami and Boston, for the Eastern Conference Finals. Go to the finals. Rematch of the 2020 bubble, Eastern Conference Finals. That block Bam on Jason Tatum. That's
That was nasty too, because that was on a dunk.
Yeah. Tatum went strong. Bam with the great block, man. So that even that was a good series. So, but I feel like the Boston Celtics were younger at that time. They might not have been super young, but they were still. I feel like they matured. They matured a lot in these last 2 years. Obviously, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and I feel like they matured more this year than any other year with everything going on. Got a new coach now, and what happened at the beginning of the season. I feel like, again, like I said, I want a special show on what happened when Jaylen Brown said the energy is shifting, because I feel like that's when they really got over that hump and said, okay, this is who we are. They talked out whatever toxicity they had in their locker room, and they hit the ground running. So I feel like they've matured enough to be a championship caliber team this year. And that's why I have them beating Miami. Obviously, yeah, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, that firepower. Marcus Smart, running the point. Al Horford, oh my God, like his performance against Giannis last series showed me that he is the consummate veteran, and he still has it. And depending on their lineups, Bam. I know he's going to go against Bam, and it's cool, but he can do a lot of things. Al Horford can obviously shoot the three. I feel like he shot the three better in the playoffs than he did in the regular season. Got to put up the numbers.
He definitely turned back the clock.
Yeah.
In that series against Boston. like I was saying earlier in the group chat, you know, I've been high on the Heat the last 2 years. I love their defense, and I think I think they have even more depth this year than last. With Oladipo, the evolution of Max Strauss and Gabe Vincent. I mean, because Duncan Robinson, again, like we said, he got 90 mil and he don't even play no more.
So yeah, like that's what I'm wondering. Like, were they saving him for this series, or like why didn't he play?
Well,
Why hasn't he
like
been
I've
playing?
been saying the last 2 years, for one, I think he's the worst defender in the league, pretty much. Like the worst perimeter defender in the league.
Yep.
But then also he showed a ton of inconsistencies in the beginning and middle of the season.
Yeah.
It really only takes, you know, for you to muscle him up a bit, for him to get off his game. But players like Max Strauss and Gabe Vincent, they're not like that. Their mentality is different. They really shoot the ball well. Gabe Vincent penetrates well. And I think that those are two players that Boston should not take lightly. However, I did say earlier today that I'm not 100% sure, depending on how Boston plays, that Miami has enough scoring. I think Oladipo will have to play heavy minutes, just because of the perimeter of Brown, Tatum, Smart, Derek White, because I'm not really sure how players like Gabe Vincent will hold up on the defensive end, because they're gonna have to play some defense. And at some point, if you know, because obviously you're gonna have Butler on Tatum if possible.
Mhm.
And that's why I think Oladipo plays heavy minutes, because I think, you know, they kind of match him up with Jaylen Brown in an effort to not have to put Bam Adebayo on. But if Bam does have to, you know, play some perimeter defense on a player like Jaylen Brown, in my opinion, the basket's wide open. I mean, the only other big they're gonna come in with is Dwayne Dedmon.
Dwayne did.
Very streaky guy. He fouls a lot,
Right.
you
He's just
know,
body.
and a lot of times he takes ill-advised shots.
Mhm.
It's gonna be real interesting. And as high as I am on the Heat and their defense, I think I'm gonna go ahead and take Boston. I think Jimmy works really, really hard to get his, but he's gonna have to work really, really hard, in my opinion, with the perimeter defenders that they'll have an opportunity to throw at him. I'm gonna take Boston in 7 games.
7 games. Okay. That's respect to Miami. I get that. I get that. I got Boston in 6 out of respect to Miami, but in the back of my mind, I got Boston in 5. Really, if Boston can play how I think they can play against Miami, because I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Miami has, you know, their lineup. You know, they have. Let me see who they start. You know, Bam Adebayo, Gabe Vincent, Jimmy Butler, Strauss, and PJ Tucker. So, you know, they can shoot a little bit, and that's cool. They can obviously defend very well. But on the flip side, you got Boston starting Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, what's my man, Al Horford, and what's cat that shot out on threes name? Williams, Grant Williams. Everybody on that starting 5 can shoot the 3, and you don't have to hide anybody on defense. Like, you have amazing defenders on that starting 5 too. So on both ends, I just feel like Boston is going to out rebound Miami. I don't feel like Miami is going to be big enough for Boston. I don't feel like their firepower is going to be enough. I think sometimes Miami has lulls in scoring where they just go minutes without scoring or can't find scoring. Obviously, again, like we said, Tyler Hero was their high scorer. And he's coming off the bench, and he might get roughed up a little bit too in this series too. So might not be able to depend on him. So in the back of my mind, I really got him at 5, but out of respect to Miami, we'll say 6. And also, I don't know if I saw who was that? Let me see. Let's see. On Miami, you got injuries as well. Kyle Lowry. So he, like you said, he might play 2.
Right. I think he's only played like 2 games each series. So
Right. So he's not 100% healthy, and that was a huge acquisition for them. So with them getting Kyle Lowry, they thought they were going to have him for the playoffs, and now he's a little banged up, so can't necessarily count him being there. So I don't know. Without Kyle Lowry there consistently, might be a quick series. And I think
it's possible.
I just think we're witnessing Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's prime right now, and they have an amazing coach, obviously in Udoka. Marcus Smart is in his defensive prime. They have a Al Horford who has turned back the clock, who wants to get that ring, who hasn't been this far in the playoffs yet. Well, he hasn't. Has he been in the conference finals? I think he's been in the conference finals, but not the finals, right?
Who?
Al Horford. Them LeBron years. LeBron has basically kept him from the finals.
Yeah, he's been to the conference finals. I don't think he's been in the finals.
Right. So he's hungry. He's hungry, ready to do what he wants to do. Whatever's needed to help this team win. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
And then for Boston, I think what's the name is out game 1, but I doubt he misses the entire series.
Marcus Smart.
Robert Williams.
Oh, Robert Williams. They said Smart is questionable too. He had an injury as well, so hopefully he plays. But yeah, Robert Williams. If Robert Williams can be healthy, that's just another body down there. It's another rim protector.
Yeah,
who can defend as well, man. I don't know. I'm just really high on these Celtics. I think it's their time. I really do. So that's what we got. Any other thoughts on these 2 huge series?
None of significance. I just think I honestly think that there'll be two really, really good series. If anybody has a chance to really win it in 4 or 5, it would be Golden State, opposed to either Boston or Miami. But I still see Luka, of course, putting up really, really big numbers in this series. I think at this point, he's trying to prove a point. And that's scary. He just everybody around him needs to remain as consistent as they were in the last series. If they get cold from the perimeter, it's going to be some long games. It's going to be some long games out there for them.
Yeah, I just think, like you said, the Mavs have to come to play early, because if those first 2 games are how the Warriors typically play, that I think they can lose, or the others around Luka can lose confidence real quick, and it could definitely be a real fast series if that happens.
And I think the 2 teams are opposite. I think Golden State plays better in the open court, going up and down. And I think the Mavs' bread and butter is the half-court offensive game, because Luka doesn't play at a high speed.
Right.
But he also doesn't let you control how he plays either. So I think that they're better playing in the half-court game, and the Warriors are better playing in the open court.
Indeed. It's gonna be interesting, that contrast of styles. Whose style will prevail? That's gonna be a kind of a coaching battle as well. We'll see. It's gonna be very interesting to see. So yeah, we have it tomorrow. Let's see here. Tomorrow we got Boston and Miami, and Wednesday we got Dallas Warriors. Now
Took a look at the schedule. It looks like, the series are alternating from like now until like pretty much next week. Like it's a game every day, east, west, east, west. So we'll at least have a game a day.
Yep, getting down to it. That time of year, it's dwindling. So hey, you gotta enjoy it while you can. So hey, I'm gonna try to watch all these games, try to clear my schedule and watch all these games while I can. It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. It's been a good year, so hopefully we'll have some great basketball to be played. So we shall see. Go Boston. Watching this man in his prime, just sit back and be a witness, man. That's all I say. But
I'm glad you listened to us and became a fan of Jason Tatum.
yeah, I listen. I listen to y'all, you and Juwan and Phil talk about the college prospects, and I listen and I go looking and I say, okay, I like his game. Okay. So
Well,
yeah, you listen.
But if you recall, we first saw Jason Tatum play as a sophomore, junior here in Chicago at the Chicago Elite Classic when he was playing for Chaminade. And the footwork and all of that was just different from a high school cat. Like I hadn't really seen no footwork like that. I got a chance to see Melo play when up at Northwestern. I think I was a senior and they played Thornwood. So I got a chance to see Melo play in high school, but I'll be honest, the footwork still wasn't Jason Tatum-ish in high school. He was different.
Yeah. Yeah, he idolizes Kobe. He still wears the 24 on his jersey. You can tell that footwork is there, and he want to do it. And he's man. I hope he just don't have those bad games. He like last series he had like one of those bad games. Like just don't do that.
He had a game. He had a game last series. I think we only scored 10 points in the game. He can't have those against Miami though.
Not at all. Now is the time you gotta show and prove and be there consistently. Be the Tatum we know you can be, bro. So we shall see, and we'll be tuned in, and then so we'll come back when these conference finals are over. Go Boston and go Luka, and good luck, bro. Good luck to Luka, but ain't gonna look too good for you, bro.
Free Brittany Griner.
Yeah, free Brittany Griner, man. Free BG, bro. Like, stop playing, man. Like, people not talking about that enough, man. Get her back.
That's a whole nother topic of conversation, though. Now that they didn't came up with who they want to swap her out for. Amazing. Yeah, Russia wants to exchange criminals.
Wow.
They want to swap BG for a weapons dealer that we have for Russia. So, you know what I'm saying? The crimes are nowhere near the same.
Wow. They want to make a trade, huh?
Yeah. And it's not the first time, but the United States is a little reluctant to do so just because they feel like, if they do make the trade, then, it'll give Russia more incentive to falsely imprison or, you know what I'm saying, more Americans in an effort to get more, Russians back in a criminal swap. So,
man, look, that's another show too.
Right.
Some politics stuff too. Oh God. But all right then. So until next time, everyone. Numbers Live. Get your merch. Check us out everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, Periscope, anywhere. Till next time, we'll see y'all. Peace.